Hey, party people. This is Perfectionism is Stupid video number 4. And we are going to tackle a brand new sketchbook. We're going to tackle that dreaded first page. Because here's something I hear a ton is when people mess up that first page in a new sketchbook, they don't want to use that sketchbook anymore. And so we're going to talk about some ways to combat that dreaded first page paranoia slash fear slash hate. I'm going to give you all some ideas for your sketchbook moving forward, all those good things. And let's get to it. So, most artists, they don't need an excuse to buy a new sketchbook. I certainly don't. But as I was booking my travel for the first half of 2018, I was thinking, oh, I want a new book so it can be my travel book and I'm going to run around with it and it's going to be awesome. I was looking at all these reviews online and this one came highly rated. It's the Pentalic. Oh no, that sounds dirty. Never mind. The Aqua Journal. It is 140 pound, 300 GSM watercolor paper. It's cold pressed. The paper has a really nice texture. Here's my finger for scale. It's not as rough as some, but I like that. I like the subtle texture. It has one of these elastic closer thingies and a bookmark and a little holder for a travel brush, pen, whatever, right? I do like my old Moleskine watercolor albums. These are favorites from before. They also have the elastic closer. They do have the folder in the back. This one does too. But I want to try something new. So this one is all full. If you want to see a sketchbook tour on that, go watch the first video in the Perfectionism is Stupid series. I show you all the pages, all the messed up pages, all the good pages, all the in-between pages. When I start a new sketchbook, I start by writing my name and the date. I like marking the date on my work so that when I go back, I can see how much progress I've made in terms of concept development and illustration technique. So here are some of my recommendations on the first page. I like to write a list of my project ideas on the first page. So when you crack a sketchbook open and you're like, I want to draw. What should I draw? Right? So I just have a list here and it's going to continue on as I think of things. Speaking of list writing, this is my favorite new pen. This is a gel pen. It's the Uniball Signo. And this one is the 0.7. So it is a little bit thicker. It is smooth and beautiful. It's lightweight and the rubber grip is perfect. And yeah, so I like this so much. I bought a box of 20. So on my list, I have things, personal projects that I'm working on. I have a couple of really old kimono that need repair, and I'm thinking about redeveloping them and turning them maybe into coats. I have a couple of cotton and linen pieces that I want to indigo dye, so I'm going to be thinking of some shibori designs. I want to get back to the Watch Me Design a Fashion Collection series. Yes, I have every intention of getting back into that series. I got in a rut. These things happen. So I'm going to start doodling up, gearing back up into starting that series again. And then as I come up with more project ideas, I'll be writing them down. Speaking of other ideas for what to put in your sketchbook, another thing I like to do is when I see cool pictures on the internet that I might want to draw, I print them out. You know how I'm always going on and on in my tutorials about using visual reference is the best way to learn how to draw something? Ta-da! All right, so I've never rendered crushed velvet before. It's been a trend. It'll probably go away before I get any good at rendering it, but it's every trend comes back. So I thought I would try to teach myself how to render crushed velvet. So I printed out this picture of this cute jacket that I kind of actually want. And this one was cute. I love the colors. It's just like a spin-off of primary colors. And it has some really interesting textures. The wide wale corduroy, the mesh, the little bit of denim, the sheer, like that. So I'm going to take these and I'm going to slide them in this back folder and pull them out when I want a new idea. If the sketchbook you have doesn't have a back folder like that, like this one, you could just take a binder clip and just clip them on and carry them around with you. Another thing I like to do to smash the first page is to create a swatch board. So here's a swatch page from an older sketchbook. I bought these Derwent Inktense ink pencils. They're like watercolor pencils, but ink. And I kind of fell in love with these. I really love these. At the time I was working on this sketchbook, I was in Japan. I was really influenced by indigo and Japanese textiles. And so I pulled all the blues, all the darker blues and the blacks and some of the reds because I kind of got into madder red. And so I started creating these swatches and colors and playing with my new ink pencils and playing with dry and wet and, how they completely dissolve and how they don't, et cetera, et cetera. And that just playing around and doing swatches is a pretty easy and fun way to break that first page. So for this one, I created these charts so that I could do a gouache color chart. I never made a gouache color chart before because I used to do all of my illustrations with the same like 8 tubes of gouache or so. But ever since I started this channel and started doing more hauls and paint and art supply reviews on your request, I have quite a bit of tubes of paint now. So I thought I would create a color chart with the gouache and watercolors that I use. I didn't include the ones that I tried out and didn't like. And if you watch my New Year's Eve video, the 1996 video, I was painting with a certain blue and I noticed that the granulation was pretty intense, and I thought to myself, I should really test my paints to see which ones do that and which ones don't so that I have a record. So this is going to double as a color chart and as kind of like a granulation test of all my colors. And then I'm going to this is going to be my travel sketchbook for the year. So when I'm art supply shopping, I'll have a record of what paints I already have. So things I don't need. Like I have 4 yellows. Yellow is not a color where you need a lot of variety because they're pretty similar. So I'm like, yes, note to self. These are all my yellows. Stop buying yellows. Okay. So I did that and I skipped this page because this is the back of the paper. Since I'm doing the granulation tests, I want them to be all on the same side of the paper. So I skipped this page and then I used the face to do my cool colors. These are my greens and blues. I wrote a little note to self to do dry media on this. You can, whenever you think of stuff, just put a Post-it on this page for later, scribble a little note in pencil, whatever. I offer these tips because I know some of you like to keep yours really pristine. So, this one, it's kind of scribble-tastic and I love it. Some people really hate that sort of thing. So project ideas and swatches are 2 of my favorite ways to break the first 2 pages. Don't you hate it when someone wants to look at your sketchbook and they open the first page and it's like the worst sketch you've ever done and they're like, oh, that's so nice. Whereas people understand if you're doing swatches or writing lists, it's less embarrassing if it doesn't look right. Another idea for your sketchbook is warm-up exercises. These are, 2 exercises that I go over in depth in my color lesson series. This is from my video number 2, which goes over how to paint the entire color wheel using 3 tubes of paint, cyan, yellow, and magenta. Did this whole thing. And then this one is from my creating mutes using complementary colors, how to paint neutrals, and I went over these exercises in that video. So go check my color lessons playlists for more information. But warming up is good, especially if you haven't been painting or drawing in a while. And so I would recommend that you take a few pages in your sketchbook and draw out some bars, some circles, some cylinders, and whatever medium you choose, get started on that day's sketching with a few warm-up exercises. Blend out some, cool spheres, highlight, shadow, fuss around with it. Do some color mixing exercises so that you're getting more and more familiar with color theory and what your own colors are capable of. Here's one sketchbook I did, and this one is the Canson XL Mixed Media. I think this bright blue is very recognizable to a lot of us, except I really hate that color, so I always cover it with a different paper. I got this right after I had just come back from New York, and I had gone to Jerry's Artorama while I was there. This is December of 2016, and I had purchased these new to me colored pencils, and I was just swatching them and blending them just to see how they played together. I labeled all the colors. So after blending and testing and swatching, I drew this. Where did I draw this? Oh yeah, I was on a flight to Albuquerque to go visit Kathleen Fastenella, and I drew this using the color pencils and just playing around with them, having a good old time. Here's a tip. You don't have to go in chronological order. You can block off the first 10 pages for warm-up exercises and just fill them with warm-up exercises and then just move to, the middle of the book to do your sketches. It's fine. The sketchbook police are not going to come after you, okay? So first few pages, I would draw some shapes, do some shading exercises, warm up your hand, and then move on to a different page to do your sketches. You can do line quality exercises. You can do practice drawings. You can do more swatches, color mixing exercises, whatever you want, right? You can also leave pages in the front for notes. As I was running around museums in Japan, I would scribble notes for later, like look up later, landscape of the Four Seasons hand scroll, which is amazing. You should look that up. Okay, Toyo, Seshu Toyo, some good stuff, right? So you can create notes pages in the front and move your nicer sketches to the back. And I think that for most people, once you break past those first few pages, break that fear, you can just kind of sketch more freely. That's it for my tips on working on your sketchbook. These are pretty generic tips for pretty much any kind of sketching in any media, in any category of illustration or design. So feel free to share this video, drop all your questions for me in the comments section. Please do give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful. Hashtag practice not magic. Hashtag perfectionism is stupid. And I will see you in the next video. Vocal exercises. I wish I could remember some from back in the day. Hello, 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 hello. Anyway. Okay.